Every rapper you know has a name that ain't on their birth certificate. Some of them got their names from the hood, some got them from a personality trait, some got them from a random moment that just stuck forever. Some came from prison cells, some came from childhood insults that turned into legacies, and some came from dead men whose spirit the rapper wanted to carry forward. Today we running through all of it. Over 40 names, every origin story, the real story behind the rap name the whole world knows. Let us get into it. Notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace did not start out as the Notorious B.I.G. He started out going by Biggie Smalls.
How is it being Biggie?
So it's big, Notorious Big. This is the first time because I got some papers in the mail. The original Biggie Smalls said he gonna sue me for everything I got if I use his name again. So please, nobody, if you see me, my name is the Notorious B.I.G. You can call me Big, Notorious Big, whatever. No more Biggie Smalls. That is
A name he pulled directly from a 1975 blaxploitation film called Let's Do It Again, where a hustler character named Biggie Smalls was played by Calvin Lockhart. Young Christopher from Bed-Stuy saw that character, saw himself in it, and claimed the name. When he signed to Bad Boy Records and started working on Ready to Die, a problem came up. Another artist already had a trademark on the name Biggie Smalls and was not letting it go. So the label added Notorious out front, a word that described his entire reputation in Brooklyn, and the B.I.G. became an acronym standing for business instead of games, the motto he was trying to live by once rap money started coming in. So the most famous rap name in history was built in 3 parts: a movie character, a legal dispute, and a business philosophy, all 3 of them locked together into the Notorious B.I.G., a name that still carries more weight than almost anything else in this genre almost 30 years later. Birth name was Lessing Parish Crooks. His mother Afeni Shakur legally changed it to Tupac Amaru Shakur when he was a child, and that decision alone tells you everything about who she was raising. The name Tupac Amaru comes from the last indigenous emperor of the Incan Empire, a man who was captured and publicly executed by Spanish colonizers in Peru in the 16th century for refusing to submit to foreign rule. His name in Quechua translates directly as shining serpent. His last name Shakur is Arabic and means thankful to God. So before Pac ever rapped a single bar, his mother had already given him the name of a revolutionary martyr on one side and a spiritual declaration on the other. He was named after a man who died fighting for his people and a word meaning gratitude toward the divine. That context makes his entire catalog land differently once you sit with it. The anger, the tenderness, the politics, the God talk. All of it was already written into the name before he ever stepped into a booth.
Tell me, what does Tupac Amaru Shakur mean?
Okay, it means, I was named after this Inca chief from South America whose name was Tupac Amaru, but there's a lot of people named Tupac Amaru. It's like a whole tribe named Tupac Amaru. So my mom named me after this Inca chief, and I think that the tribal breakdown means like intelligent warrior, something like that.
Let's see.
He's a deep
Jay-Z. Sean Carter got his rap name in the simplest possible way and from the most important relationship of his early life. Growing up in the Marcy Houses projects in Brooklyn, he was mentored by an older rapper from the same housing development named Jaz-O, one of the original figures of the Marcy rap scene who had genuine industry connections and was showing the young Sean what a real rap career could look like. Sean used to follow Jaz-O everywhere, learn from him, study his delivery, spit bars alongside him. Out of respect and out of love for the man who put him on, he started calling himself Jay-Z, a variation on his mentor's name that honored where he came from while carving out his own separate identity. Later on, people pointed out the name also references the J and Z subway lines that run directly through Brooklyn, connecting his stage name to his geography even deeper. But the real origin is simple. Sean Carter named himself after the man who showed him the way.
Jay-Z, that came from the name Jazzy. Like when I was younger, I pretty much had the same demeanor, like just laid back and, wouldn't speak out of turn and just like a real cool dude. So the older guys, the OGs from around the way, like that's a jazzy little dude. So my name was Jazzy before Jay-Z. And then as I was growing up, I realized the guys Jazzy, they was a little too flamboyant for me. Like they had electric blue suits and jerry curls and, chains with chest hair and things like that. So I didn't want them to confuse me with those type of Jazzy. So I just took the J and the Z from Jazzy.
What about Jigga? Where'd that come from?
That came from, like, back in the day, like, to rap really fast. And my name was Jay-Z, so I was like, Jigga the Jay-Z. So they just, yo, Jigga. So that's where that came from. Rapping too fast. Hova, the name Hova, it derived from, I would tell people, like, yo, I can make songs, like, I'm just be sitting there, I don't even write songs down. I can make these songs in 5 to 7 minutes.
Nasir Jones was born and raised in the Queensbridge Houses in Long Island City, New York, and his rap name is one of the most stripped down on this entire list. It is simply the front half of his birth name, Nasir, clipped to 3 letters, clean and immediate. But the deeper story lives in where Nasir comes from. His father, jazz musician Oludara, gave him an Arabic name that translates directly as helper and protector. When Nuz started rapping as a teenager, he took those 3 letters, put them out front, and let the music fill in everything the name implied. Simple, clean, connected to his roots, and impossible to forget. Marshall Mathers got to his stage name through the most straightforward possible route. He took his initials, M and M Marshall Mathers, spelled them out phonetically, Eminem. From there he built the alter ego Slim Shady as a separate character inside the name, a darker, more unhinged version of himself that he could deploy when the content needed to go somewhere Marshall Mathers, the person, could not openly claim. The Slim Shady persona gave him distance and gave him freedom, a creative shield that let the most extreme ideas come out without attaching them directly to his government self. But the name that started it all is just 2 initials run together.
Explain to people the spelling of your name. Does it mean anything? The way that you have the E-M-I-N-E-E-M?
It means absolutely nothing. I didn't want to get sued by Eminem, so I spelled it out. Marshall Mathers, that's my name, so that's my
2 M's,
initials, you know?
2
So I
M's,
just
you put them together.
took 2 M's and I spelled them out in 1 word, and I don't know how I managed to spell them because I'm illiterate, but I'm good, and I managed, and I think I spelled it correctly.
Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. has been Lil Wayne since before most people reading this were born. He joined Cash Money Records as a child, around 9 or 10 years old, after
You turned 15 Monday? You're 14 years old?
calling the label repeatedly until Birdman answered and took him in. The name came together in 2 moves. He dropped the D from the front of his government name Dwayne, which left Wayne. Then, because he was a small child at the time, they put Lil in front as a description of his age and size. Lil Wayne, what started as a literal description of a child rapper, turned into one of the most recognized names in the history of hip-hop. Kendrick Lamar Duckworth is his actual government name, and the story behind it is one of the most musically poetic naming origins on this entire list. His father Kenny Duckworth named him Kendrick after Eddie Kendricks of the Temptations, and his middle name Lamar comes from another connection inside that same Motown legacy. So Kendrick Lamar literally has 2 music legends built into the name his father gave him at birth, long before he ever picked up a microphone himself. Snoop. Calvin Cordezar Broadus Jr. got his nickname from his mother when he was a baby, and she gave it to him because she thought he looked just like Snoopy from the Peanuts cartoons. Floppy ears, droopy eyes, the whole Snoopy energy in a baby's face. She started calling him Snoopy, and that childhood name followed him out of Long Beach and into every room he ever walked into. When he linked up with Dr. Dre and Death Row Records in the early 90s, they extended the childhood Snoopy nickname into something with more street weight. Snoopy became Snoop Dogg. It started with a mama looking at her baby and seeing a cartoon dog in his face, and it went all the way to the top of the rap game.
How did you end up going by Snoop? I don't think I know. I know Snoopy came into play for a minute, right? Is that why?
Yeah, well, as a kid, I watched Charlie Brown. Yeah, you know, Charlie Brown was one of my favorites. And I watched Snoopy so much, my mother was like, you watch him so damn much, you're starting to look like him. And I swear to you, my whole life, I had 50 years with my mother, right? And she never called me by my real name a day in her life. She called me Snoopy, Snoopy, Snoopy. That's it, that's all.
Dr. Dre. Andre Romel Young picked up the nickname Dre simply from the way people in his neighborhood shortened his first name. Andre became Dre the same way names always get trimmed in the hood. Dr. Park came when he joined the world-class Wrecking Crew in the early 80s, a DJ collective out of Compton with a theatrical costume performance style. The Doctor was added to give Andre a title for the stage, something that elevated him above just being a regular DJ in the lineup. By the time he joined NWA and later built Aftermath Records into a dynasty, Dr. Dre had long since outgrown the stage gimmick that started it, but that is still where the title came from. RAKIM. William Michael Griffin Jr. took his rap name from his Islamic faith and his membership in the 5% Nation. After converting, he took the name Rakim Allah. In Arabic, Rakim translates as the inscriber or the writer, a meaning that connects directly and almost perfectly to who he became as a lyricist. He dropped the Allah from his professional name over time and became simply Rakim, but the spiritual origin is inseparable from everything he brought to the microphone and to the entire art of rapping itself. EAZY. Eric Lynn Wright from Compton built one of the most iconic names in hip-hop history from a street nickname and a simple letter. People in his neighborhood started calling him Easy because of how effortlessly he moved through situations, how smooth he was in the streets and in conversation. He took that nickname, respelled Easy as easy to make it his own, added the E for his first name Eric, and put the hyphen in to hold it together. Eazy-E, co-founder of NWA, godfather of gangster rap, a man whose name felt as dangerous as the music he made. He passed away from AIDS complications in March 1995 at only 31 years old, but the name Eazy-E never stopped carrying weight. P. Diddy. Sean Combs earned his most famous nickname because of football practice. As a teenager playing ball in high school, he used to huff and puff so hard during drills that his teammates started calling him Puffy. That name followed him to Howard University, to the Bad Boy Records offices, and eventually onto Records, where he branded himself as Puff Daddy. Over the decades, he rebranded multiple times. Puff Daddy became P. Diddy, P. Diddy became Diddy, and at one point he even tried to go by Love.
You can call me Love.
He has said publicly he changed his name to Diddy partly to own something new for a new chapter, and to separate himself from the Puff persona. Each name change came at a different chapter of his career, with the most recent years bringing a very different kind of attention to that name for reasons that go well beyond music. Birdman. Brian Christopher Williams grew up in New Orleans and was originally known in the Cash Money Records world as Baby, which was simply a street nickname from his neighborhood that described his demeanor and his position as the younger of the two Williams brothers, who co-founded the label alongside his brother Ronald Williams. The name Birdman came when he released his self-titled solo debut album in 2002 under that name, and the public reception to that album was strong enough that Birdman stuck as the permanent identity going forward. He has also gone by Baby and Birdman Jr. at different points, but Birdman is what locked in, and the imagery of a bird, free, high, untouchable, fit exactly the kind of stunting, flashy persona he was building in New Orleans rap culture.
When did you decide you was gonna call yourself Birdman? Birdman come from the streets. I earned that name. It speaks for itself. I was baby. I was baby because my mama never named me when I was in the hospital. She named me once I came out the hospital, weeks or months later, so everybody in the neighborhood always called me Baby. And I was born as Brian Brooks. That was my mama's name. And I got adopted.
Rick Ross. William Leonard Roberts II took one of the most controversial rap names in hip-hop history. He named himself after Freeway Rick Ross, a real Los Angeles drug trafficker who at his peak was one of the most significant crack cocaine distributors in the country during the 1980s. The original Rick Ross, whose real name is Ricky Donald Ross, never consented to having his name used and actually sued William Roberts over it, though the case was ultimately dismissed. What made the name even more ironic is that before William Roberts became the rapper Rick Ross, he worked as a correctional officer in the Florida Department of Corrections for 18 months in the mid-90s. So the man who named himself after a famous drug dealer had been a prison guard. The streets clowned him for it when it came out, but the name Rick Ross had already become too big to walk away from.
Depo. That was the first time I ever met him in person. You know, he wouldn't shake my hand either.
Really?
No, when he walked in, all the attorneys, it was a big table. It was about 12 people in the room, and he walks in, and he walks around the table, shakes everybody, including my lawyer. He shakes my lawyer's hands and everybody, and I stood up to shake his hand, because I don't have no hard feelings, you know, just give me my money. He rolls his eyes at me and walks away, turns his shoulder like, wow. And then he comes up with this, oh my goodness, I don't know where he got the story from. He said he played football in high school, and the whole team was called the Big East. And some guy was trying to call him Big East and accidentally called him the Big Boss, and then somebody else called him Rick Ross. It went from Big Boss to Rick Ross. That's his story.
That's the dumbest.
How he came up with the name Rick Ross.
That's the dumbest story I've ever heard in my life.
If I'd have been the judge, I would have hammered him just.
Davon Daquin Bennett was born in Parkway Gardens on the south side of Chicago, the housing project known on the streets as O Block. His government name already had Von sitting in the middle of it, so when he started going by Von in the neighborhood, it was not a stretch. People just pulled the back end of his first name and ran with it. The King part came from jail. Von told the story himself in interviews. He was locked up in Cook County when an older man in his cell, somebody pushing 80 years old, started calling him grandson. That nickname was a tribute to David Barksdale, the legendary founder of the Black Disciples Street Gang, and what the older man was saying was that Von carried himself with the same authority Barksdale had. The streets picked that nickname up and ran with it. Then, as his reputation grew, grandson evolved into King Von, because the people around him felt the grandson title was not big enough anymore. He had moved past grandson. He was king. He released his first major project under the title Grandson Volume 1 as a nod to that origin. and his posthumous album in 2023 was simply titled Grandson, bringing the name full circle after he was killed in Atlanta in November of 2020 at only 26 years old. XXXDNTACION. Jase Dwayne Ricardo Onfray built his rap name out of two pieces, and he explained both of them directly. The X repeated 3 times at the front of his name represents the unknown. He was drawn to mystery, to being undefined, to existing in a space that could not be easily labeled. The second part, Tentacion, is Spanish for temptation. He told a Miami radio station directly, XXX Tentacion means unknown temptation. That definition fit the man almost too perfectly. He was magnetic and genuinely talented in a way that made millions of people connect to his music, even as serious accusations about his personal life followed him everywhere.
I need you to pronounce your name, please.
Yo, alright. XXX Tentacion. Alright, so XXX Tentacion means unknown temptation. As far as the X, the significance of the X, for some time, the X was the only unknown numeral.
He was shot and killed in June 2018 at only 20 years old, leaving behind a catalogue that still streams in the billions. Juice WILD. Jared Higgins started his SoundCloud career under the name Juiced Kid, a name he chose because of his love for Tupac Shakur's acting role in the 1992 film Juice. The movie spoke to him, Pac's performance spoke to him, and he named himself after that energy. When he and his team decided Juiced Kid was not big enough, he kept Juice and added WRLD with the deliberate misspelling instead of world, as a way to make the name visually unique and brandable. His way of saying his music is a world of its own, a universe you step into when you press play. He died of an accidental drug overdose at Chicago's Midway Airport in December 2019 at only 21 years old.
Juice from, I had the haircut, like the Juice cut, like Tupac, the one he had in the movie. I think world came from me spelling it wrong. I think I was making like an account on something, and I spelled it wrong because world was actually taking like the actual spelling. I took it as just for me like trying to take over the world and it being my world.
Pop Smoke. Bashar Baraka Jackson came up in Canarsie, Brooklyn. Pop comes from the term pop smoke, which is street slang for making a move, creating a distraction and disappearing before anyone realizes what happened. To pop smoke means to be gone before the situation catches up with you. It also carries a reference to the sound of a gun going off, which connected to the aggression in his Brooklyn drill music. The name was almost prophetic. He appeared, he made a massive impact, and then he was shot and killed in a home invasion in Los Angeles in February 2020, at only 20 years old, gone before the world fully understood what it had just witnessed.
Actually, Papa, but my name on the street when I was a kid was Smoko Gua. So the homeboys didn't want to call me Papa, so they called me Pop, and they just mixed the Pop with the smoke.
Charles Andrew Jones II was born in Jacksonville, Florida, and grew up in the Moncrief neighborhood. His rap name came from the streets around him. The Julio part came from being seen as having a ruthless, cartel type of fearlessness in the way he carried himself. The Foolio part came from foolish behavior, from being somebody who moved without regard for consequences. Put them together and you get Julio Foolio, a name that communicated exactly what kind of person he was in the streets of Jacksonville before the music came. He was shot and killed on June 23, 2024, in a hotel parking lot in Tampa, Florida, while celebrating his 26th birthday. Artis Leon Ivy Jr. was born in Compton, and his rap name came from a singing competition and a Spanish pop star. As a teenager performing at local talent contests, he stood up during one competition and performed a song by Julio Iglesias. The crowd started calling him Coolio Iglesias as a combination of the word cool and the singer's last name. It was meant to be a joke. Instead of dropping it, Artis embraced it. He started introducing himself as Coolio Iglesias at shows, and over time it got shortened to just Coolio. The name that started as a punchline turned into the name attached to Gangsta's Paradise, one of the best-selling rap songs of the entire 1990s, and a Grammy winner in 1996. He passed away in September 2022 at 59 years old.
Coolio.
Coolio, where did the name Coolio come from? That's not your real name, is it?
Nah. Some people was, we was playing, let me see. I'm gonna say something that I know everybody knows what this is. We was playing the Dozens, which means we were bagging on each other, we were talking about each other, we were capping on each other, we were ranking on each other. All the words for it right there, okay. And somebody said, I had on, the way I was dressed, I'm not gonna tell you what I had on. The way I was dressed, I said, ooh, who do you think you is? Coolio? Coolio Iglesias. He didn't say Coolio, he said Coolio Iglesias. And people just started laughing, and you know, next day, everybody started calling me Coolio, and then the day after that, and then pretty soon I started liking it. So I stuck with it. Coolio.
Coolio. Where did the name Coolio come from? That's not your real name, is it?
Nah. Some people was we was playing let me see. I'm gonna say something that I know everybody knows what this is. We was playing the dozens, which means we were bagging on each other, we were talking about each other, we were capping on each other, we were ranking on each other. All the words for it right there, okay. And somebody said, I had on the way I was dressed. I'm gonna tell you what I had on. The way I was dressed, I said, ooh, who do you think you is? Coolio? Coolio Iglesias. He didn't say Coolio, he said Coolio Iglesias. And people just started laughing, and you know, next day everybody started calling me Coolio, and then the day after that, and then pretty soon I started liking it. So I stuck with it.
50 Cent. Curtis Jackson III took one of the most powerful rap names in history, not from his own nickname, but from a dead man. In a 2003 interview, he explained it directly. There was a real stick-up kid from Fort Greene, Brooklyn, named Kelvin Martin, known in the streets as 50 Cent, who was shot and killed before Curtis ever made it in music. Curtis felt they shared the same by any means necessary survival mentality, and that they had both been shot multiple times and survived, which was true for Curtis after being shot 9 times in 2000. He took the name as tribute to someone whose spirit he connected with, and as a statement about who he was. 50 Cent carried the weight of the streets, the weight of survival, and the weight of a man who had already paid the ultimate price.
It's kind of a nickname given.
Why?
To me, and I used to like to play video games a lot, and I don't want to play once, I want to play twice. So I asked for 50 Cent, it was 25 cents at the time, so I did it, it kind of stuck. But there's also a guy from Fort Greene Projects that has the same actual name, and I thought it was cool to use for music because it's a metaphor for change.
Drake. Aubrey Drake Graham is a Canadian rapper born in Toronto, and his rap name is literally just his middle name. Aubrey never felt like the right rap name. Drake is cleaner, shorter, hits differently. So he dropped Aubrey and went by his middle name exclusively. That middle name is now one of the most streamed and most commercially successful names in the history of music, all from the simplest naming decision possible. Onika Tanya Maraj was born in Trinidad and raised in Queens, and she has been open about the fact that her rap name was not her idea and was not something she was happy about. Early in her career, she signed a production deal with an executive who told her he wanted to change her name to Minaj. She fought it. She said in an interview she hated the name and fought him tooth and nail, but he convinced her. The logic was a play on the French phrase ménage à trois, suggesting a provocative, sexually charged image the executive thought would work for her brand. The spelling was changed to Minaj, and Nicki was added as a softened version of her real name Onika. So one of the most iconic names in female rap history was given to her by someone else, over her own objection, based on a French phrase she did not choose. And she took it and made it mean something bigger than any executive's branding idea could have planned for.
Mirage, I switched it to Minaj. We were playing off, obviously, because Minaj, you know, gets people's attention. And, you know, I have a nasty flow, and I eat these bitches. So, my name is Nicki Minaj.
Dirk Devontae Banks grew up on the south side of Chicago, and his rap name is about as direct as it gets. Lil is the prefix that was standard for young rappers coming up in Chicago's drill scene, the way you announced your age and your position before you had fully established yourself. And Dirk is simply a shortened version of his government first name. He started rapping young, and at that stage, the Lil fit. As he grew into one of the most important artists in Chicago, rap it stayed, because it was already locked into the culture. YNW MELLY. Jamal Morris Demons grew up in Gifford, Florida, and his rap name comes from the crew he came up with and a version of his family nickname. YNW stands for Young Niggas of the World, the crew affiliation that defined where he came from and who he was loyal to. The Melly part comes from his last name Demons, which in his neighborhood got shortened and transformed into Melly as a childhood nickname that just stuck. YNW Melly is both a crew flag and a personal identifier from his upbringing in Florida.
How'd you get your rap name?
I stole a cheeseburger. I got away with it. And like, my real name is Jamel. So like, if you take the J-A out, you got Mel. The burger had like jelly on it, you know, like jelly, Nelly, Ellie, Melly. Melly. I told my dog about it, and he was like, bro, stop calling yourself that.
That's lame. And I was like, hell no, bro. I'm Melly, bro. Melly get away with stealing cheeseburgers. You don't, because you got caught.
NBA YOUNGBOY. Kentrell Deshawn Golden was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and his full rap name is Youngboy Never Broke Again, which carries both his ambition and his survival story inside it. The Youngboy part came naturally from his age and his street presence. The Never Broke Again part was added as a mantra, a promise to himself rooted in how he came up in poverty and in and out of juvenile detention. Never Broke Again is not just a label name, it is a declaration. The NBA initials tied it all together and gave the branding an extra layer of recognition.
Where did your name come from?
NBA Youngboy. My cousin Meeks gave me that name. He heard it from Meek. You know how Meek be saying that Youngboy shit. But yeah, he gave that shit to me. It was catchy. But I had that shit out like about 11. I ran with it.
Gunna. Sergio Giovanni Kitchens from College Park, Atlanta, got his rap name from the neighborhood. Growing up, people started calling him Gunna because of the way he carried himself, as a reference to the term gunner, somebody who is relentless, always moving forward, always on the attack. A gunner is somebody who is going to do whatever it takes to get where they are trying to go. The name fit his mentality long before it fit his music career.
They started calling me Young Gun, so when I was rapping, I might say Gunna in the ad-lib, and I just started hearing that Gunna just stick.
Belcalis Marlenis Almanzar has a government name most people cannot pronounce on sight, which is probably part of why the nickname caught on so completely. Her rap name came from her sister. People used to call Belcalis Bacardi because Belcalis sounds like Bacardi, and because her sister's name is Hennessy. Both alcohol brands, both sisters. The comparison was too obvious to ignore. Bacardi got shortened to Cardi, and she added the B for her last initial when she started building her brand as a performer. Simple, hood, straight from family. She tweeted the origin herself.
Cardi B. Where did that name come from?
My name come from, you know what, my sister name is Hennessy. So everybody used to call me Bacardi. So I always call myself Bacardi, right? And then it was my Instagram name, like Bacardi, Bacardi B. But for some reason, my Instagram keep getting deleted. And I think it was Bacardi that had something to do with it. So I just shortened it to Cardi B.
Ice Cube. She Jackson got his rap name from his brother, and his brother meant it as an insult. His brother used to clown him by calling him Ice Cube, saying he was trying so hard to be cool that he had gone past cool into cold, rigid, artificial. It was meant to embarrass him. She did not throw it away. He kept it, carried it into NWA, through a legendary solo career, and eventually into Hollywood, where his son now carries the family name in a different lane.
Where did Ice Cube get his name from? I got my name from my brother. My brother, he's about 9 years older than me, so he used to have all kind of women calling the house. I would try to get at him. He got mad at that. He said he was going to slam me in the freezer one day, turn me into an ice cube. So I was like, you know what? That's a badge of honor. When I walked out the house that day, I told him, don't call me O'Shea no more. You know, I found my nickname. It's going to be Cube. It's going to be Ice Cube. So from then on, start calling myself Ice Cube.
Ice D. Tracy Lauren Marrow built his rap name as a tribute to Iceberg Slim, the pimp-turned-novelist whose real name was Robert Beck. Iceberg Slim wrote raw, unfiltered books about street life in Black America that were widely read in South Central Los Angeles. Tracy took ice from Iceberg and T from his own first name Tracy, and Ice-T was born. Before Law and Order, before Body Count, before any of it, he was a teenager in Los Angeles who found truth in a pimp's novels that nobody else was willing to put on the page. Chief KEF. Keith Cozart from Chicago's Inglewood neighborhood got his rap name in 2 parts. Chief was a title the neighborhood gave him because of how he carried himself, the authority and command he had before he ever had a record deal. Keef is simply a variation of his government first name Keith, the way names get informally respelled in hood phonetics. Put the two together and you get Chief Keef, a name that captured both his community standing and his personal identity before he became one of the most influential figures in Chicago drill history. Chance the Rapper. Chancellor Jonathan Bennett kept it the most literal of anybody on this list. His name is Chance. He raps. He is Chance the Rapper. He has talked about how when he was a teenager in Chicago posting music online, he needed something that communicated immediately and clearly who he was and what he was doing. In an industry full of elaborate aliases, his decision to just say his actual name plus his actual occupation turned out to be the most original branding move he could have made. Lil Uzi Vert. Samia Beisel Woods got his rap name from a moment in the studio when somebody in his circle told him exactly what he sounded like. A friend listened to him rap and said, "Man, you rap so fast it sounds like a machine gun, like a little Uzi." He grabbed that and ran with it. He took Lil from the convention of young rappers and added Vert from his old neighborhood nickname Revert, which had been shortened to Vert already by the people around him. Lil Baby.
What is an Uzi, Vert?
Well, a Uzi.
I know what an Uzi is.
Yeah, yeah, but I was rapping one day and some guy was like, "Damn, you rap fast like a machine gun, like a little Uzi or something." And I was like, "Ooh, little Uzi." And like Vert is like vertical, like straight to the top. Yeah.
Dominique Armani Jones from Atlanta got his rap name from the streets of his neighborhood in a very simple way. In his part of Atlanta, calling somebody baby is a term of endearment and familiarity, the way you greet somebody you are close with. The Lil in front was just the standard prefix for his generation of Atlanta rappers coming up. People started calling him Lil Baby organically, and when he jumped into the rap game, it was already the name everybody knew him by. He was not sitting in a meeting trying to come up with a brand, he was just answering to what the hood was already calling him.
Where'd your name come from?
Lil Baby, I hang around a whole lot of older dudes, so they just hit me with Lil Baby. I'm the youngest out the crew. I like 12, 13, I ain't with dudes like 25, so they just started calling me Baby.
Has that always been your rap name, or have you had other rap names before in the past?
Nah, this is my only rap name. Like, I ain't even been rapping that long.